Welcome back to View from Roughfield. I'm Ella, the creator of Jeff. The boys are a bit busy. Please stand by.
Hello and welcome to a very special edition of View from Luffield. We are not from Silverstone. We are not from Bahrain, even though the weather looks like it at the moment. We're from my back garden.
Yeah, it's typical, innit? We go down to Silverstone for the weekend and it rains on Sunday. Back home the weekend after. And I think it's like 25 degrees at the minute. It's going to be warmer. But anyway, we're being typical Northerners and we're sitting outside for this episode because it's glorious. Very special episode today, as there is no Grand Prix, as you know. So we're going to discuss, you might have seen on previous episodes that me and Phil often whinge about the modern circuits and they're not as good as your traditional ones. So the point of this episode is to go into a little bit detail as to what we mean. So this is very much a purist versus innovative debate in as much as, is it just because, you know, are we against innovation or are we just old-fashioned?
No. I think the easiest way to describe it is I think it's a risk versus reward thing. I think the older tracks have more risk to gain a reward. And
it's as if we rehearsed that because our first topic is going to be around safety and runoff areas.
Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought? It's as if we planned this. We're trying to be a bit more structured this week, so we shall see.
We'll see. When we get to 3 hours long and you've all turned off, we'll realise we got it wrong again.
So for the safety aspect of it, one thing I will stress is I'm not trying to encourage that we want drivers to put themselves into any risk. I don't want to see people get hurt, obviously. But there is what we mean by the safety risk. So if you notice on modern tracks now, Saudi Arabia as an example, all the runoffs are all tarmacked. Yeah. The reason for that is it's easier for emergency services to get onto the track. It's easier for recovery vehicles to get onto the track if they need to. They're not having to weave their way through gravel traps, etc., and they're allowed to be more frequent.
A lot of it as well is different categories of races. You know, MotoGP don't take as kindly to gravel as F1 cars do, so to speak.
Yeah, fair.
But tracks are trying to make themselves multi-purpose, aren't they? But this is the pinnacle of motorsport is Formula One.
And don't get me wrong, I get all the safety aspects of it. It's if a driver makes a little bit of an error running into a corner. Circuit of Americas is another perfect example. I mean, we don't have it anymore, but Paul Ricard was mental. How on earth they ever got around that track, knowing which track was which, I don't know. But that's a perfect example of it, where everywhere is just tarmacked runoff area, and obviously driver makes a mistake, runs a little bit wide. He has just got a tarmacked area to run off and he can correct himself and whatever. That's the positive side of it. And I get all that. It's wrong, though.
Yeah. It's boring and it's wrong. And if I wanted to go and watch a race around a Morrison's car park, Chorley mostly on a Friday or a Saturday night, you have the kids doing donuts in the courses. That's where I'd go.
Maybe they could do that around Paul Ricard.
Well, no, because if you think it's got that gravelly blue stuff that the tyres to bits, honestly,
it would be courses, wouldn't it? It'd be like Clios.
Oh,
Renault 5s.
Clios, Renault 5.
Peugeot 108s.
Citroen 2CV, a Twingo.
Well, anyway, I told you the structure would go straight away.
No, I'm all for a bit of danger for the driver. Not kill them on a first corner kind of danger, but if you get it wrong, you're punished.
Yeah, and and it's ironic we're doing this episode literally a week after Silverstone, because if you look last week, there was a couple of examples, but I'm going to pick two out specifically because they were at Maggots and Beckett's. One was George Russell. He'd just come in to get off his Inters a little bit too early to go onto the slicks, and he had a spin into the right turn. So the first right turn is the second part of, so the first part of Beckett's, but the second part of the combination. Loses it, back end kicks out, goes right over the gravel, loses a heap load of time. There will be a little bit of damage to his floor. The tyres will be dirty. It'll take him a little bit of time to recover it. Pretty much exactly the same corner. Oscar Piastri makes a similar error a couple of laps later. He manages to keep hold of it, but he goes over the tarmac run-off area, which is just directly in front of the Maggots and Beckett's grandstand. The difference in the time lost between the two, the difference in what the potential, and that's what we're getting at. When there's that gravel trap or grass or something like that, something that the drivers absolutely don't want to go in, that then means that they're testing their skill a little bit more. And that's what we're getting at here, is drivers know the risk v reward element, and Phil touched on it at the start. And what for me, when there's a gravelled off area, there's a couple of corners at Imola. There's a couple of corners at Monza that are there's grassed area on either side. We want to see them drivers take the risk, but we want them to know that if they make a mistake, it's one hell of a mistake.
Yeah.
Whereas if there's a tarmac runoff area, Saudi Arabia is an example. Verstappen v Piastri earlier on this season, they just go into the tarmac area. So for me, there's too much tarmac, and I get the safety reasons. And someone will comment on this saying, "Oh, but you're encouraging people to crash and die."
Not so much die.
Obviously not, but
maybe a good crash now and again.
Yeah. As long as they're all right. But yeah, and for me, so that's one. The tarmac area, I understand it's for safety, but Formula One's got safer and safer, and you keep going too far towards safety, you do lose an element of the excitement, which is what I feel the tarmac areas do. Anything else on?
No, I think you're totally right. If anyone hears any background noise, by the way, this is our first live broadcast with an audience. Now, it's not the greatest audience in the world, but there are people dotted around, so I must apologise for any background noise. I
think my mum's just come out and told my uncle to put some suntan lotion on.
We'll keep an eye on his legs.
But, just as an update, we will keep you updated throughout the episode. As of right now, he hasn't put suntan lotion on.
No,
we will keep you posted if he gets up. They are looking
slightly rosy.
We'll keep you up to date on the suntan lotion situation.
No, but I think you're right that the runoff areas are far too tarmac nowadays, and there needs to be a bit more.
It's too easy.
Involved.
There's no punishment for the drivers to make a mistake, and they should do. They're the best drivers in the world. They should do. Next, we move on to track layout. The designs are poo.
They're all too generic. It's the problem with asking. I don't know if Herman Tilke still designs them all, but they went through a phase of being really heavily reliant on him designing everything. And there's only so many ideas you can have when it comes to a track. And you could argue. I'm just making sure. You could argue locations don't work for him as well in terms of it's just a field, and they say. Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking Texas turn one.
Well, we'll move. I mean, because to be fair, one of the topics we will go on is location and infrastructure and what that means for it. But I just think the designs they've just lost. Spa is a perfect example. They've designed that, and again, it does kind of cross into location and infrastructure. So we'll sort of merge the two. But Spa, because it goes through the Ardennes forest, the track has to be designed to go through that.
Yeah. I mean, you go back further. Monza was an oval that's been repurposed, but is stunning, but simple. In
Similar
its
story with the Nürburgring. I know we don't go there anymore, but that was similar.
Like we said in the Austria episode, it's a triangle that a very simple dinosaur drew, but it works because of what's around it. Silverstone's an abandoned airfield.
Yeah, and the Silverstone design, if you notice, the outline of it is still the outline of the old RAF airfield from the Second World War. So they've just built a track within it. And I suppose what we're getting at is when you've got no limitations whatsoever, when you just have, especially in places like Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, these places that have got land to spare. The States is another one that's got land to spare in the main. They just give them a big area, and it's an open playing field. And what tends to happen is they don't actually give us that good designs.
No.
Qatar is another example. It's just a chicken. It literally looks like a chicken.
It does look like a chicken that's been grown for KFC.
I will find an overview, a topographical map of the Qatar track to put on as I'm talking about this. Because tell me it doesn't just look like a big chicken.
The beak's about here.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, and we end up with these not great designs. I suppose is the point I'm getting at. And
one thing I do want to bring up though is that Silverstone's changed.
I knew this was going to be brought up, and a number of them have, and it is true.
For the better.
But Silverstone,
is it?
I think it's better. And I know that kind of contradicts what we're saying, but I do think the Silverstone layout's better now than it was.
One, was it?
But the thing is, though, that's still Silverstone still clings on to another topic that we'll go on to, which is like the history. So I don't know. Look, maybe we're wrong. Maybe it is just. I just don't think the track layouts are as good now. I think you look at some of the circuits and you're not as excited to race on them as you would have been the older designs. Again, Austria. It doesn't look like much.
No.
It's a very, very simple, very, very, very basic design, but it gives us awesome racing every year. Every year we go to Austria, it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And uncannily, it leads you back to the first point. Austria is that they've stopped the runoffs being so tarmac and there's a bit of grass, and all of a sudden there's no track limits, and it throws another good race at you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the point. We had grass years ago.
Yeah.
Then they replaced it with tarmac, and we got all the track limits nonsense. And then now they've put that little tuft of grass, and all of a sudden we've got exciting racing again.
That's all it needs in places, though. It is that simple.
Make the drivers aware that there's a punishment for a mistake. I know we're going back to the safety aspect, but make them aware that there's a punishment. When you've just got a massive tarmacked area and you design anything you want within it, it doesn't make it an exciting race. Again, Qatar being the perfect example for me. Bahrain is another one. I know Bahrain's sort of virgin between older and newer track. I just don't think the design's fantastic.
I quite like Bahrain. I could almost stick up for it here because it's very similar to Spain in places.
It's not as bad as Saudi Arabia and Miami, but it isn't as good as it's a middle ground. It's got splinters in its bottom because it's sat on the fence of this argument.
I suppose that there's always going to be ones that stick out as arguing against what we're trying to say. You know, one of the oldest tracks in the world is Monaco, and it's terrible.
Yeah. By the way, we're not going to mention Monaco, and I know Phil just did, but we're going to try and stay avoid of mention Monaco because it is an old track. It's an old track design layout. Everything that with it should fit the positive side of this argument. So it's an anomaly to the rule. So we're not even going to mention Monaco. So for me, quick to wrap up track layout, I think the designs are terrible.
Yeah,
I do. I don't think they're anything that's really
just
inspiring.
Generic. They're IKEA tracks.
Yeah,
that's an awful thing to say to IKEA, and please don't sue me for that. But you know, you know what I mean. Though it's almost quick build. It's flat pack racetracks rather than something with
anything, any spirit, any. That does lead us on to then. So we'll skip a topic because we're going to go off order now, but we're going to try and keep this naturally. So we'll next move on to heritage, and basically what we're meaning by with this is it's an infrastructure versus it's the way that it's a location in the infrastructure. Sorry, I will get my words out. It's a location in the infrastructure. So what I mean by this, I'll give you two examples. One is Silverstone. We already touched on that it was old. It was an old abandoned RAF airfield. When we first started racing there in the 50s, there wasn't much to do there other than go racing.
No.
If you go down to Silverstone now, there's not really anything there still. It's just an old abandoned airfield. There's a racetrack. You park on grass. There's nothing really fantastic about it other than the fact that it is the home of the greatest racetrack in the world.
The weird thing is...
I thought you were going to argue that.
No. I've been saying this all along. There is no racetrack in the world, maybe Le Mans, that gets any closer than anywhere near Silverstone. But what I was going to say...
We are biased.
To back up your argument on the whole Silverstone as a brand is the racetrack is... You look at the multi-million pound houses that have just been built by Maggots and Beckett's that are stunning. You look
Escapade, is it?
Yeah. You look at they're putting a Hilton there, I think, aren't they, or something? You look at the fact that it's got the museum. It's all named because of Silverstone, not the other way round.
And this is the point that I'm about to make. It's Silverstone is the track. The area is all about the racetrack, and then what they've done, like Phil said, the museum, the Escapade. I don't know if the houses or Airbnb, or if they're meant to be rent or bought. I don't know. They're very expensive, whatever you do them.
We've bought two.
Yeah, I wish. So that whole area stuff is being built around Silverstone because the draw is the racetrack. The example to the contrary is Miami. Now the draw there is the Hard Rock Stadium. It's everything it's all the infrastructure that's already in place around Miami. Just going to take a quick pause because a quick suntan lotion update. Our uncle has left.
He might be going.
We might be going getting suntan lotion.
I'll keep an eye on it.
We will keep you posted. I know that everyone's hooked on the edge of the seat about this. So Miami is built around the Hard Rock Stadium. It's built around that whole infrastructure. There's that fake harbour, if you've noticed it, where one of the corners and there's actually boats in it, but there's not. It doesn't connect to any water.
Blue carpet.
It's nonsense. So there's that, and everything's just built around. We've just been attacked by a wasp. Everything's just been built around this. I swear.
It's that papaya on your t-shirt.
Oh, I thought that was a wasp. It's the
eternal professionalism here.
Everything's built around the infrastructure over there. Vegas is another example. They've tried to build a racetrack down the Vegas Strip, and it's what we're getting the sceneries. Don't get me wrong. When you see the helicopter footage of the Vegas Grand Prix, the sceneries and everything else that you see are outstanding. I can't, the Vegas Sphere in the middle, and you got the Caesar's Palace and the Bellagio and all the fancy stuff that we've seen in all the Hollywood films. And then you got Formula One cars driving down it. The scenery is immense. The race is awful. And that's the difference. Whereas Silverstone is this famous racetrack and everything's built around it and everything's built to support it. It's the other way around with a Vegas, and it doesn't. That for me is something that doesn't work. When the track is built around the infrastructure, you're limited to what you can do with a track. It goes back to the layout, which is why we've done it in this order.
Yeah.
Whereas a Silverstone or a Monza or whatever, somewhere like that can change their track tomorrow if they wanted to.
I mean, yeah, and I think going, you go on about. Sorry, I'm just going back to the location versus. I don't want to see Judith Chalmers. I want to see race car. That shows my age, by the way. Anyone who used to watch Wish You Were Here knows how old I am now. But you know what I mean? This isn't a travel show. I know it looks great. I want to watch a race.
I know, I know what you mean.
Spa has no hotels near it. Spa, you have to camp if you are going there. That's a proper racetrack.
Yeah, because it's in the middle of a forest.
It's a proper experience. I want to see race cars pushed to the limit, the drivers pushed to the limit. I don't want them to be comfortable. You know, that's one of the beauties of Silverstone is...
And Spa, well, you've mentioned Spa
as well,
the same, yeah.
Even Monza, you see the drivers are flat out for, 20, 30 seconds at a time, yet they're already thinking about the next corner. You don't get that, and that stupid long drive down the strip looks impressive, but I'd be bored stiff.
Yeah, and it doesn't give us anything. It doesn't give us any racing or anything particularly. Overtaking's difficult at Vegas. I mean, it goes back to the whole street circuit. This isn't just, by the way, this isn't necessarily a street circuit versus what traditional circuit. No. Because there are good street circuits. We've mentioned them before. Singapore I actually quite like,
brilliant,
which does this kind of go against what we're saying here with Vegas because that's built around a bay, but it works.
That still challenges the drivers.
Yeah,
there is a challenge. There is a risk versus reward. There is,
and so sort of Spa built around the Ardennes forest. It makes it difficult because that forest isn't moving, so the track goes around the forest, it goes through it, and then obviously what that does give is, as we've often seen with Spa, it can be hammering it down at sector 2, but sectors 1 and 3 it's bone dry, and we saw it at Silverstone last week. It gives you a difficulty in that sense. So that's another thing. I think the location, I understand what they're trying to do, certainly with places like Vegas and Miami. They're trying to encourage American fans to watch the sport. I get it. It's the biggest audience in the world. If you can encourage
hello to our American viewer again.
Yes, sorry, we're not just now just being positive around America now.
America's great.
Go America, USA.
In fact, my favourite racetrack is Miami.
But the point is it's the biggest audience in the world. So if you want to get them on board, if you can get 60% of the country on board, that's one hell of an audience. So I get what they're trying to do. It's just you're not giving us good tracks by doing it. And America has got good tracks. They have their own motorsport series, much of which is nonsense. I mean, I accept, but they can, if they've got these racetracks, then they've got heritage and they've got history. Race there. Don't just give us some nonsense down the Las Vegas Strip, because
don't you want to race at Road America or something? If you're going to race there, a proper racetrack.
I mean, America proved they can do it. The Circuit of the Americas is a track I quite like. It's an old school track. There's the runoff areas which you touched on before, but other than that, I actually quite like it as a circuit.
But the thing with the Circuit of the Americas is it's an anomaly of the new tracks, is that it was built to... It took corners from every track in the world. There is a Maggots and Beckett section.
Yeah, it's ironic, isn't it? Circuit of the Americas, but it's actually Circuit of the world. Yeah,
Circuit of Formula One's other tracks that were successful.
Yeah, it can't be a Circuit of the Americas because you turn right. Anyway, I know it kind of contradicts with the runoff areas. The runoff areas to their version of the Maggots and Beckett section does ruin it a little bit, but in the main, I actually do quite like that as a circuit. So when you're building tracks around an infrastructure that already exists, you come up with nonsense, and that's what we've had so far. For me, I think the Vegas track's awful, the Miami track's awful. Monaco, but Monaco is becoming similar, which is weird because it was a track. I wouldn't say before it was a popular destination, but the track certainly aided that. So that's what they're trying to do with Miami. Give it a Monaco status. I get that, but Monaco is now becoming a track that's built around the casinos, the swimming pools, the harbour, and all the rest of it. And that's why that's a rubbish track. It's a contradiction to what we've said because it's an old school track. I get that, but it is very much sits on that side of the infrastructure debate for me. So stop building tracks around things. We don't have a track around the pyramids in Egypt.
Just to prove, don't give them ideas.
Oh, no, I've just have, Havana.
Oh, it'll be one straight line past the pyramids and then you turn left at the Sphinx or something. I don't know. And just to prove that we're not America bashing in the slightest, it's just unfortunate they've been the ones with all the new tracks. The new Madrid track looks awful.
Yeah, and this is another one. I feel like because they're building around. This is example Catalonia, an old school track. It's been designed. It's bad. It's been able to. It's been there for years. It's got its history, which will lead us on to the next point. And this is what we kind of wanted to discuss. Are we so anti-Madrid without really a reason? And I feel like because it's being built around stuff that already exists in the city of Madrid, you're limiting your options with the track, and therefore you're going to give it.
We can't be the only people who think like this, though.
No, look, I put in the comments if you're actually, if you disagree with us, if you're actually excited for Miami, then tell us in the comments.
Miami, Madrid.
No
that's one's ever excited for Miami.
No one's excited for Miami. No. And that does lead us on to the final point on our argument. I think.
Are we just old? You've written.
Oh no, it's not. Sorry, it's not the final one because I've gone out of order.
Oh,
hold that thought because the next one is Phil actually did just touch on it. The newer tracks are too reliant on DRS.
yes.
If you look at the back straight in Miami, you look at the two big DRS zones at Saudi Arabia. Bahrain again falls victim of this. Azerbaijan falls massive victim of this. The Vegas Strip. All these tracks have got one thing in common, and they all have a ridiculously long straight. And the idea is obviously to encourage overtaking through DRS. Now, someone correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding when DRS was first introduced to the sport was that it was to aid the chasing car down the straight and improve its chances of making the overtake into a corner.
Yeah.
Like, as an example, going down the Hangar Straight. Have I got these two straights right round coming into Brooklands and then into Luffield? Have I got it wrong?
You've got it wrong.
Straight. I always
the
get
Wellington
them too
Straight. The Hangar Straight is post Maggots and Beckett.
I always get. Well, then again, it's the same example. The idea of of DRS down these particular sorts of straights is that they're meant to encourage you, put you into a better position where you could maybe overtake through braking or something like that into a Brooklands, as an example, at Silverstone. What we get from these circuits, though, especially Azerbaijan, is that turn one at the end of that long DRS straight. There's one line through it. That is it. There's no other route you could take. So my point is that the overtake has to be done down that start finish straight. Yeah. Same with Saudi Arabia, and they're so long that an overtake, it's a boring overtake. Yes, we want to see overtaking, but you want to see it with a little bit of risk and testing the driver's skill. You don't just want to see it because he's got an extra 22 kilometers an hour of speed. It's just boring.
I was going to say, and that's I suppose that's the unfair advantage that historical tracks have, is that you remember the races pre-DRS. There was don't get me wrong, there were moments where there was a race with no overtake,
Monaco in May.
I'm sorry. Yeah, fair point. But yeah, you know what I mean? We've seen these moments of incredible moves or driving or spirit, where they've got massive nuts on them or not, that kind of thing. And you remember them because those tracks have been around long enough. At the moment, we've got tracks that are built for the current setup of a Formula One car, which is about to change anyway.
I was just about to say that because don't forget, we're entering into an era where there is no more DRS. We've got Z mode and X mode.
And Y.
And Y mode and P and Z and everything else mode. But we don't know obviously what that's going to be yet until we properly see it. But we're going to exit the DRS era. So yes, someone will argue that you can still get drag. You still reduce the drag because you're sitting behind the car in front. You'll still get a tow. You'll still get slipstream. But
that's always been the case.
That's always been the case, yeah. And that's what the older straights, Silverstone, Monza, etc., still gave us. So I think that what they tried to do to encourage overtaking more. Again, I understand what they've tried to do, but these mega long straights, they're too long. And what the overtaking actually does is it just happens through that straight, and then you don't get it into the corner. Austria is a perfect example. You've got to be clever. You don't do it into turn one. You don't do it through 2 or into 3. You do it down the hill into 4, because if you overtake early, you're going to give DRS to the guy you've just overtaken. Yeah. So what you see is the DRS is there to aid you to get closer and closer and closer, and then you make the move into the corner.
Yeah, you've still got to have the skill to do it.
Exactly.
You hear at the moment about, even with DRS, that you need 3 seconds a lap to be quicker or something. That doesn't work.
Yeah, and the point is as well is, if you overtake on one of the straights, Azerbaijan is an example, because it's so wide, if you're overtaken there because the car behind you's got DRS, you've got no defence.
No.
So it's pointless. Whereas if you're going into a corner, you can maybe take a wider line or a tighter entry, so you've got a wider exit, whatever it might be. The driver can use a bit of skill to defend against the overtake, which makes the overtake more difficult to do, therefore more exciting for fans. When it is just a drag race down a Las Vegas strip,
then the car with the no rear wing is going to be faster than the car with a rear wing.
Quite. So it's boring. So that was the point on DRS. I think the newer tracks have just become too reliant on DRS. We're entering a time in the regulations where there is no more DRS. So don't know. Next point is to bring up is, are we just old?
Yes.
That's it. No. Is it nostalgia? We touched on this at the start by saying that this is purist versus innovative. Are we just old?
Yeah.
We've had the argument about Spain. The Spain situation is the perfect example. We're about to leave Catalonia, where Schuey won his first race in a Ferrari in the wet in '96.
Yep.
Verstappen won his first ever race in the Red Bull.
Yeah, Senna and Mansell an inch away from each other all the way down the straight.
Yeah, we have all those moments that Silverstone have given us. Mansell and Piquet. We've got the incident obviously between the Hamilton, Perez, and Leclerc thing from 21. Yeah. So you've got all that, and all these tracks have given us all these great moments. We will never say a bad word about Silverstone because we've been going since we were, I think I was 4, maybe the first time we went, something like that.
I'd say so.
So and that will always give us those memories. Is it just we are already dead against Madrid, and we've not even seen the track yet? Well, in real life, we've seen simulator versions of it and stuff. Yeah. But we're dead against Madrid, and we've never even raced there before. Whereas, the flag's having a bit of a wild one. Whereas Catalonia has given us all these memories over the years, and now we're going to be robbed of it. I suppose we've still got it next year, but we're going to be robbed of it from 2027 onwards.
We've been robbed of Imola.
We've been robbed of Imola, which has given us so many memories, bad ones as well. Yeah, do you know what I mean? But those bad memories, what happened to Senna still shapes the fabric of what Formula One is, and those old tracks give us that, whereas the new ones don't. We have no memories from Miami. Even as a Lando Norris fan, it was where he obviously got his first ever win. Still no memories of it. I think he personally will remember Silverstone last week more than he'll remember Miami.
Yeah, it's one of the ones to win it. If you ask any drivers which of the races to win, they don't say, I really want to win it.
No, none of the new ones come up. And like Belgium 98, sorry, and again, this is where we might start to sound like old men, because Belgium 1998, that absolutely horrendous start where everybody went into everybody, and when we still had spare cars, everybody ran into the garage to get into the spare car. You had Coulthard just driving into the back of Schumacher. Other way around. Schumacher driving into the back of Coulthard. Sorry. So we don't have these memories from these new tracks, and that's not their fault. Big wind. But that's not their fault. But is that something else that's working against new modern Formula One tracks? So let us know in the comments if there's anything that you think we've missed out, any other reason that you think new tracks are rubbish, or if there's anything that you think actually we're wrong and that the new tracks are better than the old ones.
Just to prove a fact, just to prove a point on this, and it's not something we've rehearsed, you don't actually know I'm going to do this, name your top 4 tracks, and I bet you we've got at least 2 that are the same.
Top 4?
Top 4.
Silverstone, Spa.
Yep.
See, Austria's in there for me. Austria.
Okay.
Monza.
That is 4.
No, I know that's 4. I'm just trying to think if I want Monza to be the 4th. Monza. That's what I'm going to go for.
In that case, we've got 3 the same.
Yours isn't Austria, though, is it?
No, mine's Imola.
Yeah, I thought.
But there you go. It proves the point. Not one of them are modern tracks.
Exactly. And
if anyone can say one of the modern tracks is their favourite, please comment
and stop watching F1 because you're doing it wrong. Sorry. Okay. That's it for the episode. Thank you to, like I say, anybody has any comments, anybody has anything that they want to input with regards to whether you think we're wrong. There's no race this weekend, so we thought we'd just give a little bit of context into why we always whinge. On Ant v Phil, last week at Silverstone, you might remember that we were both so ashamed of our predictions that we decided not to award a point. So it is indeed 4-3 to me after Austria. So we are now going to look ahead to Spa. It isn't next weekend, it's the weekend after, so there will be another special, something similar to this next weekend. But we are going to do the predictions today because we have 2 very, very special guests to help us do the predictions today. So my 2 nephews, Phil's 2 children, obviously. Cal is going to represent me, so he's my oldest nephew, Phil's eldest son.
Yeah.
So he's going to represent me as a fellow McLaren fan. And Ruben, the youngest, as a fellow Ferrari fan, is going to represent Phil. So it is time for a very, very special Ant v Phil.
Round 1, fight. Welcome back. This is Anvi Phil. Yeah. I forgot. You go first. I am picking for Spa Oscar Piastri. Yes.
Ooh.
I'm picking Max.
Okay.
For I'm picking Max for Spa.
Okay. I'll say thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon in the next episode. Bye. Bye.